Thank you very much for joining me on this video. I appreciate your investment of time week after week. This is our investment series, and we're looking at part 6 of investment. We want to look at leverage. Last week we introduced the concept of leverage. We took an example of a purchase of an investment property at $500,000 and we compared all cash to 10% down. And we saw if it gave us $35,000 in return on an all-cash purchase, then if we put 10% down and bought 10 of them, so we bought $5 million worth of real estate instead of $500,000 worth of real estate, then once they're paid for, our residual income, passive income on retirement, instead of being $35,000 annually, would be $350,000 annually. I want to zero down today and take a look at the actual numbers, and I want you to understand the power of leverage. Now, if math isn't your strong suit, stop this video, work through the numbers. It's really important that you get it. I want you to make money, lots of money, your money, and to do so, you need to grab this concept of leverage. Okay, we're going to do a couple of definitions. First of all, we're going to call something cap rate. Now, investors in commercial real estate use the term cap rate. What that means is an all-cash purchase, how much is your return? We'll go to the example we used last week, and we'll suppose we bought a property, rental property, and the purchase price was $500,000. And let's suppose that the amount of money that it brought us each year after expenses such as insurance and taxes and maintenance was $35,000. So our cap rate would be the net income divided by the purchase price, or $35,000 divided by $500,000 times 100%, which is 7%. We're also going to take a look at something called return on investment. Now, the cap rate and the return on investment are the same thing when it's an all-cash purchase. But the return on investment looks at what is our return on the amount of money we put in. And if we put less in, what are we getting as a direct return on the money we're putting in? I want you first of all look at 20% down. So take again, and I'm going to make some assumptions. And let me say, I'm going to try and be very, very conservative. You know, I don't like these seminars, get-rich-quick schemes and seminars. People try and sell you mutual funds and RSPs or get-rich-quick real estate schemes, and it's always best-case scenario. And when the dust settles, when you come to the end of the road, it's never what they promised. They say, oh, that was because this, we didn't expect that, and all kinds of things. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very, very conservative. So I'm going to assume a mortgage rate of 2.5%. Now, in actual fact, if you went a variable rate mortgage, you could get under 2. If you were a high ratio mortgage, you'd get just under 2. If you went with a conventional mortgage, fixed rate, 5-year term, you could probably get it about 2.2 right now. So 2.5 is conservative. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to present it simple interest. In actual fact, when you put a mortgage on these days, you do what's called blended payments. Part of it's interest, part of it's principal. And every month, part of the debt is retired, and so the amount of principal you pay off increases, the amount of interest you pay off decreases. But I'm going to pretend simple interest, and so the interest you pay is going to be fixed all the way through. So, if we're looking at a 20% down on a $500,000 purchase, you're putting $100,000 down and your mortgage is going to be $400,000. So the mortgage, 2.5% of $400,000 is going to be $10,000 interest for the year. Well, that's going to change the amount of profit you make, because now your profit is going to be the net income after the mortgage interest. And in this case, it'd be $35,000 minus $10,000 interest is $25,000. So your net earnings when you're carrying a debt is $25,000, but the amount you invested has decreased to $100,000. So if you take $25,000, divide by $100,000, multiply by 100%, we see that with 20% down, your return jumps to 25%. Huge. But let's go further than that, and let's pretend we're going to put 10% down. Now your purchase price, again, hasn't changed, $500,000. This time you're putting $50,000 down and you're going to have a $450,000 mortgage. Once again, mortgage interest calculated at 2.5%. 2.5% of $450,000 is $11,250. So your net proceeds is going to be your $35,000 minus $11,250 or $23,750. So that's how much money you'd have in your pocket at the end of the day after you covered the interest. Now, you actually won't have that much in your pocket because with blended payments, the rest of it's going to go to the bank to retire the debt. But it still means that your net worth is growing by that amount, $23,750. So if we look at our return, it's $23,750, but this time it's divided only by $50,000 because that's what we put in. This is our return on our personal investment. So $23,750 divided by 50 times 100%, that works out to 47.5%. So we see an all cash purchase, we get 7% return. 20% down, we get 25% return on our investment. But with 10% down, we get 47.5% return on our actual investment. That's huge, but that's only half the story. Remember, when we're dealing with investment real estate, there's two components. There's the cash flow from the utility, and that's rent. And we receive the rent, which is profit after expenses. But we also can expect to see property go up in value. And here again, I'm going to be conservative. In Niagara, in the last 5 years, property has gone up in excess of 80%. That's 12 to 15% per year compounded. But I'm going to suppose, let's take 2.5%. Let's be really, really conservative. All right, so 2.5% is about the rate of inflation. And real estate will always go up more than the rate of inflation. If you owned your own home for a number of years, what did you pay for it? What's it worth now? Or think back when you were a kid growing up, what did your parents pay for their house? What would it be worth now? And so 2.5% is conservative. But if we're looking at a $500,000 purchase at 2.5%, that means on average, it would go up at least $12,500 in 1 year. You're not going to see that money. It's increased in value, but that's equity you could take out. That's an increase in your net worth. That's money to you. So if we took an all-cash purchase, we're going to take a look at the growth divided by the amount invested. The growth is $12,500. Amount invested is $500,000 multiplied by 100%, and we get our 2.5%. That's what our growth is based on that 2.5% that we stated. Now let's look 20% down. The $12,500 stays constant, but now the amount we invested is $100,000. If we take $12,500, divide by $100,000, multiply by 100%, we get 12.5%. So it's grown from 2.5 to 12.5. Now let's take a look at 10% down. The $12,500 stays constant. That's what the property is going to go up because that's based on the $500,000 value that we entered in at, not how much we put into it. So we're going to look at $12,500 divided by the amount invested. In this case, the amount invested was $50,000. If we multiply it by 100%, that comes out to 25%. So we see on our growth on the property value going up, it's 2.5% if it's all cash. It is 12.5% if we put 20% down, and it's 25% if we put 10% down. Now, let's take a look at the cumulative effect. You're investing money and you're going to get a profit based on cash flow and based on capital appreciation. With an all cash purchase, you're going to get 7% and 2.5%. You're going to get 9.5%. That's not bad, but we can do a lot better. With 20% down, you're going to get 25%, as we've seen, plus 12.5% capital appreciation. You're going to earn 37.5% on your investment. And with 10% down, you're going to receive 47.5% return on your cash flow, 25% on your capital appreciation. Based on the money you put in, you're going to get 72.5% return on your investment. And that, folks, is the power of leverage. That's making money through the use of somebody else's money, probably the bank's money, and getting a return on the bank's money as well as your own money. It is just absolutely powerful. That's really good debt. I hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to move forward, take a look at some other aspects as we move forward. Stay with us. I'm going to give you a simple plan as to how to put this into practice, how you can set a goal, how much you want to earn on retirement, and exactly how you're going to get there. Once again, if you're enjoying these series, please take a moment to like it and share it on Facebook. It'll help us get the message out, and we'd really appreciate it.